Brock Purdy, the 49ers, they beat the Raiders, game-winning drive and fourth quarter comeback, the first of Brock Purdy's career. Is it time to admit that Brock Purdy's legit? He's a legit quarterback. He's legit.
So when I am evaluating Brock Purdy and the things that he has done on the football field over these last 3 weeks, I simply am looking for him to not do more than what he's being asked to do. As the last pick in the NFL draft, quote-unquote, Mr. Irrelevant, to do what he has done over these last few weeks is nothing short of impressive, to be honest with you. And yes, you can look at the Buccaneers and think that that was his real true test. What are you going to do against the Buccaneers versus Tom Brady? He lit them up, absolutely. I look at this game against the Raiders, ironically enough, and say that this was his biggest test for the fact that the Raiders kept answering everything that the Niners were doing. And for once, he was in a situation where the Niners defense was not backpacking. They were not the regular Niners defense that we had seen basically all season long. He needed to step up, and he did. He made big throw after big throw, not trying to do too much. Listen, on top of CMC being CMC, you have to utilize him. One of the best weapons in the game. You'd be a fool not to. Brock Purdy understands I have a special guy there. I'm going to give him the ball whenever I can and whenever I have the opportunity to, because all he needs to do is do his job. Nothing more, nothing less. You don't need to try and be Superman every single play, trying to make throws down the field. If they're open, you make them. We've seen them to George Kittle, occasionally to Ayuk, where it seems like more Ayuk is in the
tear.
No, Brandon Ayuk has been different this season.
He's been on a tear.
His route running is unbelievable. His speed is great. He's more physical than what people want to give him credit for as well. And his hands have been, for sure, what it seems like. That last drive, I believe that he had 4 catches to get them into field goal range.
9-1-1 and a touchdown.
Yeah, Ayuk has been special. But what Brock Purdy has done is simple. His job. And that's all you can ask for a guy that is not this backup. He was the backup to the backup. So it's nothing but credit to what Brock Purdy's pulling up similar stats to what Jimmy G was on a game-to-game basis. And we're talking about Jimmy G, who we're giving a lot of credit. When he was playing, he was statistically a top 15 guy. So nothing but praise for Brock Purdy to come into a situation like this. You already gave him enough praise for sure. Kyle Shanahan gets a ton of praise for putting Brock Purdy in situations to be successful as well. But I'm okay with him hitting the checkdowns, hitting the easy throws, not trying to overextend himself. Because you're not trying to put your team in a position where now they're trying to make up for your mistakes. We've seen it a little bit from here and there where he tries to make a throw where he probably shouldn't. But he answers. He comes back. He bounces back, and he makes the smart play. He's been making nothing but smart plays. And that's all he needs to do. And the Niners will have success. Nothing but credit to Brock Purdy up until this point, no doubt.
Can't ask much more from your Mr. Irrelevant third-string quarterback. 4-0, completing 66% of your passes. And I agree with you, Drew. I think this was his most impressive performance yet, because what we say constantly on the show when we're evaluating quarterbacks, it's sure, you could hit wide open guys, you can make some good throws, but when things aren't going your way, whether it's an injury, you're playing from behind, you get an unlucky break, a bad call, you throw an interception, whatever it might be, how do you bounce back and how do you overcome? Now, I'm not saying that puts Brock Purdy into this superstar franchise quarterback level guy, but the fact that he's able to show these flashes just 4 games into his career, it's impressive, right? And especially for Kyle Shanahan's system. I know we kind of talked about system quarterbacks before, but like we've seen it this year when guys who have been written off or as a scrub or whatever, like Geno, Jared Goff, Brissett had a good stretch, Darnold now, and Brock Purdy, you have these guys who were really counted out, and no one thought that these teams and these players could do anything possible. Now you saw the Panthers obviously lost, but they were winning that game for a decent amount of time. Brissett was putting up better numbers than Deshaun coming in. Obviously, Deshaun's the better guy. But with that being said, Brock Purdy is what Shanahan wanted, right? If you go back to that 2021 draft class, they drafted Trey Lance number 3 overall, but the weeks prior, a month prior, the rumor was Mac Jones to the San Francisco 49ers. That was the guy Kyle Shanahan wanted. He wanted Mac Jones because he knew he could run this offense. He didn't want a guy that could go out there, do too much athletically and try to make all these big plays, which is ironic because that's kind of what Trey Lance is, right? He's this big athletic freak with a huge arm who's mobile and can make basically every throw on the football field. But his biggest question, and you know what still his question is he going to be able to consistently run this offense, be accurate, and get the ball into the playmaker's hands? That's what Brock Purdy does. And the only reason why Mac Jones wasn't selected number 3 overall was because Kyle Shanahan, the Niners, had all this backlash. You had media backlash, fan backlash, and I think in the room as well, in the 49ers front office, are they going to sit there and say, yeah, we're going to take a guy with maybe a limited ceiling at number 3 overall when you have this guy in Trey Lance, or even, I don't know if Justin Fields is in the conversation, but these two guys who have this insane explosive upside to be, you know, Trey's top 5 type of guy in the NFL. And that's not exactly what Mac Jones wanted. Excuse me, that's not exactly what Mac Jones is, but that's what Kyle Shanahan wanted. Someone who'd be able to stay composed, be able to run this offense, because Mac Jones, coming from Alabama, playing in college football games, playing in the college football national championship, he's someone that the playoffs he's not going to be scared of the bright lights in the playoffs and the Super Bowl and must-win games. Mac Jones has shown that. Even though he only started 1 year at Alabama, going into that season, his job wasn't secure. They had Bryce Young. He was a 5-star recruit coming into Alabama, a freshman. All of the Bama fans, everyone wanted to see Bryce Young play. Mac Jones ended up winning the job. He goes on. If it wasn't for Smitty having an insane season, he's probably the Heisman winner that year. Obviously, they go on win the chip. So what Brock Purdy has done is really what Shanahan wants. A guy who's going to come in, run the system, be accurate. Does it seem a little limited when you have Brock Purdy and it comes to the biggest game of the year in the NFC Championships and Super Bowls? It does, because you'll probably have to go up against Jalen Hurts, who was top 2 MVP before he got injured, or Mahomes, Allen, Burrow on the other side of the bracket. So that is really the only limitation you have. But the fact that we're even having this conversation, you know, just a couple months removed from, or excuse me, a month removed from Jimmy G, what seems like the end of the season for the 49ers, no chance they could even make a Super Bowl run. Now you're looking at it, Brock Purdy keeps playing complimentary football. The Niners had a bad game defensively. They were due for one, right? I mean, they've been the best defense all season. They had a hiccup against the Jarrett Stidham-led Raiders. I don't think that's going to happen in the future. This defense is going to get right back on track. And with Purdy leading you, I mean, top 2 team in the NFC.
My opinion on Brock Purdy has changed when he became the quarterback and Jimmy Garoppolo was ruled out. I didn't think there was a chance that the Niners can now win the NFC. The Niners can win the NFC, and it's because Brock Purdy has been more than serviceable, and he's playing at the same level Jimmy played before he got hurt.
No doubt.
And Brock Purdy has shown some really good things about him. I think he's a fast processor. He's able to stay in the pocket and to be poised. He has nice athleticism to evade pressure. Brandon Ayuk has high praise for him. He said he's on a different level. Now, I don't think he's quite on that, but I do think for the pick that he was selected at, you look at it and you say, why wasn't he a higher pick? He should have been drafted within the first 3 rounds.
Shit, at minimum.
He should have been drafted over Malik Willis, over Desmond Ridder, the way, you know, he's playing right now. Definitely Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder. Maybe there's a world in this system he's doing something similar. You know, I do think most of the credit, if like 80% of it, goes to Kyle Shanahan. I just think he's that great of a play designer. With Brock Purdy, I didn't think this was his most impressive game. I know the headline is going to show fourth quarter comeback, game-winning drive, and all that stuff, but I think that's just headline. That's not actually going in and watching what happened. In this game, I did see him miss open receivers, wide open receivers. There was like 4 to 5 instances where that was the case in this game, where I feel like he didn't make the correct reads. And in the fourth quarter, these are the fourth quarter drives by the 49ers. An interception that the defense got that put them in field goal position, those were 3 points. The 49ers on the next drive weren't able to move the ball. They settled for a field goal. That tied the game up at 27-27. The next drive, it was a screen pass to Ray McCloud. It went for 42 yards. And Purdy on this drive, when they got into the red zone, he missed Tyler Kroft wide open in the end zone, and they had to settle for a field goal. You make it 30-27. In that same drive, after the Kroft play, he did throw a pass into pressure, almost intercepted. He threw it into coverage. And then the next drive, After that, screen pass to CMC for 38 yards. He threw some nice passes to Ayuk, and Jordan Mason had a touchdown run, which made it 34-27. And then in overtime, the Niners get the ball, and they're stopped. Purdy throws a near interception, but it's not that. They're in field goal range because he throws some nice passes to Ayuk. They missed a field goal. The Raiders get the ball. Stidham throws an interception, and it puts the Niners at great field position, and they kick the game-winning field goal. Those drives, to me, Brock Purdy was not the catalyst of it. The two biggest plays were a CMC and a Ray McCloud screen that they just took 30 to 40 yards, and then the defense sealing the game and giving them that win. That's why I think the headline of it is a bit misleading. But that being said, Brock Purdy has been really good for the expectation. Right now, he has a 115.3 passer rating, 4-0 record. I thought he's played well against Tampa Bay, Miami, Seattle. Every game this year, he's played good. He's played very good. And for me, this team can win the NFC. I think if they match up with Philadelphia, they can beat them. They can beat any team, I think, in the NFC. This team should be the favorite, in my opinion. I do like Philadelphia a lot, but something about Philadelphia, something about Nick Sirianni, I'm not fully buying into right now. And I just like Kyle Shanahan. I feel like every single year he's been able to get the most out of his rosters. And with Brock Purdy, there is more athleticism there. So it's not like Jimmy G, who's a statue in the pocket. Purdy can move a little bit, and I think that opens up the offense a little bit more, and it gives the ability of the offense to now extends more plays. Daboll Samuel is getting healthy, so the misdirection stuff that they have with Daboll and CMC is just going to get much more better. So this team is legit, and Brock Purdy is playing at a level where, yeah, you can win with this.
I'm with you
there. Definitely win.
I'm with you there.
4-0 without Daboll. It's pretty insane.
Ayuk has stepped it up. And George Kittle, too, an unsung hero in this as well. The connection that Purdy and Kittle share is ridiculous. Enough to win me a fantasy championship as well. Just to throw that in there.
Little flex.
Just to throw that in there.
Shout out Kittle. Yeah, because he was quiet to start the season. Very, very quiet.
Dude, Kittle really has come alive.
Yeah, I mean, you see that frequently with, young quarterbacks favored in tight end.
Rightfully so, and especially you utilize it when you have a premier guy in George Kittle. That's all he's done. He's utilized the talent around him, and he hasn't tried to play superhero ball. You can't ask for anything more out of a guy who's the last pick in the draft.
He did in a play versus the Raiders. He tried to throw to Kittle across his body, got intercepted. He's tried to make some of these plays. It just hasn't come back to get him, but I think the problems that you had with Jimmy G.
I'm here not nitpicking a guy who just comes in third string and is winning ball games. That's it.
God forbid.
I think with Brock Purdy, the issues that you saw with Jimmy G will eventually pop up. It's
No
just
doubt.
whether or not the defense can overcome that and these skill position players.
No doubt.
think
Listen,
anyone's
no one's
saying
gonna
otherwise.
sit here and tell you that this guy Brock Purdy is the next Tom
franchise.
Brady, a late draft wonder.
But the question right now is out there of whether or not this now creates a controversy for Trey Lance.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, you go into next season, there's a quarterback battle at the minimum.
Yeah, I think
Trey
that's
Lance
still
should
the
be
guy.
winning. Trey Lance should have that spot secured. But
How confident are you?
only for the fact that you
You're the
drafted
Trey
him number
Lance
3
guy?
overall.
I am a Trey Lance guy, but, I mean, he's going on 3 years without playing football.
You drafted him number 3 overall.
I don't disagree.
He has to have the lead, is what I'm saying.
I think you're going to go into next season, and Purdy's going to be better in OTAs
If
and
Purdy
training camp.
if Purdy wins the Super Bowl, shit, then my statement's not true.
I don't disagree, but I think even next season, regardless Super Bowl or not, like when you're going to be watching preseason games, training camp, OTAs, Purdy's going to be better than Trey Lance. Like you're going to obviously see Lance's upside. He'll have some crazy plays in OTAs and whatnot, but the fact that Lance is going to go on 3 years without playing consistent football, like no matter who you are, that's going to take a toll on you.
And it just hit me. Go ahead.
I don't think there's going to be a quarterback battle. I think it's Trey Lance's job.
Purdy's just the backup.
Yeah, he is the backup, and that's what I think he is. Brock Purdy's is a good backup quarterback. I look at the Niners. They were willing to just say bye to Jimmy G because of Trey Lance because they wanted him to be the quarterback. There was nothing in the trade market for him, which is why they stuck with Jimmy G, and it was a good decision. But Trey Lance in his rookie season in 2 games, 603 yards, 5 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, 97 passer rating. His accuracy, he did struggle with.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm stunned.
He completed 58% of his passes, but I think this just goes to show I mean, there's a common theme here. I mean, Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, C.J. Beathard, Nick Mullins. Kyle Shanahan gets the best out of
Have
quarterbacks.
a ton of success.
And
it
Trey
just-
Lance, I think he'll get the best out of
He
him.
should be ready week 1.
It just hit me, that throw that you're talking about to Kittle. I'll be honest, I think Kittle wasn't aggressive enough. I didn't hate the decision. I think, yes, it was a little bit of a lob. I would have liked him to throw it more uphill as opposed to leading him to the sideline. But
It was underthrown.
it was a poor placement of the ball. I think Kittle, for definitely having the size advantage, should have went up more aggressively than he did. I think he wasn't expecting the DB to be there. He more so played the ball as opposed to trying to get position and trying to make a grab. But I can level with you there too. Wasn't the greatest decision, but I think Kittle still could have came down with it.
Just when I was watching the All-22 angle, I say that because
He went for the ball, Kittle.
That's what I'm saying.
Kittle went for the ball, yeah.
That's no, for sure is what I'm saying. As opposed to trying to big up the guy and not try to. He
Try to
didn't
play defense
Yeah,
there
he
is what you're
didn't.
saying?
Yes,
just on the All-22 angle, Kittle is running up the field. That pass should be leading him.
100% agreed.
That's why it was a poor pass, and it was something that I'm gonna be honest. It's not that I didn't like the pass. I liked it.
Yeah.
I like the aggressiveness
sure.
because you need that. So I like the aggressiveness by him. But yeah, I mean, in the playoffs, they're so tight,
I'm with you.
and those 4 to 5 throws that you missed throughout the game are gonna
Mm-hmm.
come back, and you're gonna say, "This is why we weren't able to get this certain drive going, this and that." That's why with Brock Purdy, I do think these issues will potentially show up,
Okay.
especially if they face an opponent that's able to stop a lot of the misdirection stuff. But Purdy has shown a lot of traits that he was misjudged in the draft process, and he should have definitely went higher. And I think he's an example of a quarterback that knows how to play the position, but is not looked at a prospect that is deemed draftable because the traits and the upside is not there. Me personally, I'd rather draft a guy in the 4th round that can play quarterback versus somebody who has all these traits but can't play quarterback. I think that more times than not, we've seen that has worked out. And examples of that have been Kirk Cousins when he was a late round pick, Kyle Shanahan in Washington, RG3, Kirk Cousins. There was that dynamic there. But yeah, Brock Purdy's been good, but I don't think that there's a threat for Trey Lance. I think this is Trey Lance's team.
I think so
when he's
too.
healthy.
At least it should be. You don't spend the top 3 pick on a guy, trade a bunch of draft capital to trade up to acquire this guy, and he's not the favorite going into next year.
That's fair. I was off topic, but I was just laughing because there was I saw Adam Gase trending on Twitter, and Le'Veon Bell replied to a tweet. The person tweeted at Le'Veon Bell saying, "Oh, like you fell off after you left the Steelers." He said, "I was a better player. It's just hard to get off when Adam Gase is your coach calling dives on 1st and 10."
I mean, that's not cap.
Nah, he's right. I think when I just saw this comment, why are people so hesitant to accept Purdy could be a starter in the NFL? I don't think it's hesitation. I think it's just an analysis of the situation. I remember when Kyle Allen was with the Panthers when Cam Newton was out, and he went on a stretch where he was 5-0, and he played amazing. I mean, these stretches in the NFL happen where quarterbacks that aren't